Family. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of the heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee, had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier in the day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you, some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the musical she had gotten to see a few days ago. It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts, and it was all done live, right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've got to see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it, too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. You also liked to sing, but you weren't very good. You also liked to sing and had a talent of your own. You didn't like to sing, but you had been told you were good at it. You weren't good at singing, and that suited you fine. I liked to sing. It was nice the two of you could share that interest. I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Think of how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come and watch too. It'd totally work. Yeah, let's do it. I don't know about that. The idea gave you stage fright. Sure, I'll give it a go. That's not a good idea. It'd be embarrassing. Social anxiety. But wouldn't showing off to everybody be fun? The thought of an audience made you feel queasy. Not really.
Are you sure?
Are you really super sure? You have so many skills you could show off to the masses. Aw. Aw. Oh. Huh. Hmm. Sorry. Your cousin seemed a little disappointed, but she nodded and respected your wishes all the same. The two of you lay back on the blanket and lazed in the sun, throwing ideas back and forth on what you could fill your time with. The beach was nearby, so you could go swimming or collect shells, or find something to do back home after all. In the end, nothing was tempting enough to move you from your current position, so you continued chatting with Lee and nibbling on your snacks while the sun traveled in the sky overhead. So, how are your neighbors doing? You haven't spoken about them lately. You knew Lee wasn't talking about neighbors in generally, or down the street. She wanted to hear about the Holdens across the road. It was no secret that she liked to keep up to date on what was happening with them, or, more specifically, Cove. There weren't many other people your age around to talk about. They're okay, they're great, you rolled your eyes, I have no idea. I don't care. I have no idea. Okay. Lee busied herself with removing the cap on her water bottle and taking a drink, and you hoped she would drop the subject. Lee loved to chat about others' relationships and would always ask you for details on the people you both knew. I think Cove is pretty neat. I don't know why you don't like him. You dodged the question, not really wanting to get into another conversation about it. I just don't. Then, how about Derek? You've got to have seen him around. He's cool. At least he says so when he's here. Cool. The sun slowly began to set, the sky turning a rosy pink and then warm orange. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. Yeah, he's a good person. He's a sunshine kid. He's a good person. I knew you'd think so. So, exactly how much do you like him? Or maybe there's someone else that I haven't heard of yet. Lee wriggled her eyebrows at you suggestively, and you knew exactly what she was implying. Lee, there's nobody I like right now. I can't answer that. I have a crush, yeah. I can't answer that. Lee's eyes sparkled in an instant, like she'd just hit the jackpot. Shit, I should have just said no one. What? Who is it? I'm not giving you a name. Someone from school. It's Derek, Mr. Holden. Kyra, my goodness. Goodness. I'm not giving you a name. Tell me something else about them, then. This news was... The fact that you can say Kyra just makes me laugh. Like, hey, Cove, I'm dating your mom. This news was just too exciting. She wasn't going to be deterred. You weren't surprised when Lee started squeezing you for more details, and you answered as much as you were comfortable with. The two of you talked about your preferences and who you liked and stuff. You found that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sorts of things. Finally, you both decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you and Lee, frowning slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what, you weren't sure. Wow, who died? What's going on? You looked between them but said nothing.
Oh.
Hi, Risa. Hello, Lee. Welcome back. The room fell quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long. You don't have to stop just because those two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your moms nodded in agreement to her. Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Ah. Her biological ones. The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand why was this happening now. When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably, as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sisters, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. We were both adopted. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just hadn't ever thought you'd accidentally stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past. But we did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Well, it's happening now, so... Your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upwards in surprise. Wait, I wasn't born here? No, you weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I going to have to pass some test to even be a citizen? No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the U.S. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who are my parents? As people, why did they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she gave her the answer. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions, her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great! So I can never meet them, even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back on you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs into her room before anyone could stop her. I have to go and talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Risa, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know, after all. Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look. Want to know? No, I don't want to hear. Not right now. You couldn't even answer. Your parents took that as a no. That's perfectly fine.
I understand.
You can always ask later if you ever change your mind. You smiled at them gratefully. It was nice to know they wanted to be open with you about the topic, even if it wasn't a talk you wanted to have now. No one seemed to have any words after that. You went up to your room. You stayed here with your moms. You wanted to get out of the house. You wanted to see Elizabeth. You went up to your room. You slowly walked past your moms and headed to the stairs, your mind racing from the conversation. You told Lee you wanted to be alone. You wanted Lee to be with you right now. Lee nodded without a word. When safely behind your closed bedroom door, you let out a heavy breath before heading over to take a seat on your bed. Lee watched you from where she sat on your desk chair and gave a sad sigh in commiseration. You guessed she didn't really know what she could do to help, but she was still trying to be supportive in any way she could. So, what do you want to do? Can I help? There's nothing you can do. I don't want to do anything. Just thanks for being here. You said nothing. Do you think of me as family? Oof. That's a big topic. Just thanks for being here. I'm happy to. She paced over and sat next to you on the bed, and you sat quietly together as time passed. Lee opened her mouth to speak, but obviously thought better of it and pressed her lips together again. A little more time passed before you finally heard her voice, spoken softly from beside you. You know, Risa, the family you have will always be there for you, no matter what. I hope you know that. You didn't answer. I'm not sure about that. Doesn't matter. Thank you. You're really welcome, Risa. A knock on the door made you look up, though before you could even move, it swung open and Elizabeth stood in your doorframe. She walked closer, and you didn't quite know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind going? I want to talk to just Risa. You can come back. It's not going to be forever or anything. Lee wasn't exactly jumping to go, so she checked with you quietly. What do you think? You can't ask that. You nodded your head in agreement. Like, okay. If she wanted to talk to you in private, it was obviously about something important. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking you over. Did Moms tell you about your parents, too? I didn't want to know. Elizabeth nodded in understanding, her face solemn. Why did you want to talk to me? Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the question, as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up. But I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. That was pretty crappy of you to just bail. I'm amazed you noticed and was unkind. Amazed you noticed that was unkind. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm not mad at you. You were quietly surprised by her admission. She stuck her nose up a little at that, but her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me. How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightning spirits in her were quickly gone, as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the U.S. to become president. What? You had never heard of that dream of hers before. She noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never going to be president, but it just feels weird, having stuff taken away, not even getting a chance at it. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was going to have a completely different life. So different, I can't even think about what it'd look like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I'd ever seen here, had someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died and I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. I can't go back to what it was even if I wanted to. A heaviness settled between you and the person who became your sister. I feel like that too. You know exactly how she felt. I don't really understand. It was a confusing feeling to have lived one way for as long as you can remember, but not having it be what was originally yours. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you. And herself. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. When it was just me and Mom's in the living room, I just kind of said it, finally, and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about her family, Risa. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I'd already figured a long time ago that Moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Technically, one of them could have been related to you. You kept listening to Elizabeth. Doesn't really change anything? Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little sibling.
Aw. You smiled softly at her. You jokingly groaned at the prospect. You bumped her back. You hugged her. Smile. Always be my family, too. Took in the moment quietly. Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. We should probably head downstairs and make sure our moms are okay. It's been a long day for everybody. You gave her a nod. Down we go. You met up with Lee just outside the room and made the short trip to the lower floor of the home together. The familiarity of it all felt nice. When you stepped into the living room, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. They both got to their feet when they noticed the arrival, and Ma gave you a careful smile. We're so glad to see you. You said nothing. We're happy to have you here again. Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
You really couldn't have asked for better, kiddos. We love you. More than we could ever say. Moms. You smiled at their comfort. You were so glad your moms were alright. You're smushing me. You smiled at their comfort. I love you too. It was a nice moment, and you enjoyed it for as long as you could. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew then that you all had each other, and you always would. Well now, since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over.
Totally!
I love the sound of that! Why not? Who's got a suggestion? It should be something we can do here in the house with everyone in the same room. We could just put on a movie. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's good to me.
Me too!
Me too! You're happy with watching a movie. You weren't so thrilled with the idea of going on. You're happy watching a movie.
Alright.
I'll cook up some popcorn. The rest of you can pick a movie. Your mom headed off to the kitchen, and Ma turned to face the rest of you. What do we have in mind? Anything but drama. We don't need more of that today. There were some chuckles at her joke, and you thought about what you prefer to watch. Rom-com, horror, sci-fi. I'm in the mood for action. Maybe we should watch family-friendly. A family movie. Cool. Perfect. With the basics settled, Ma took to sorting through the DVD collection. You didn't notice that Elizabeth was sidling up to you until she was right next to you, arm to arm. Since there's only so much room on the couch, I should say it go to Risa and I. This is our day. Wait, I want to sit with you too. I'm small, you won't even notice I'm there. Elizabeth raised a skeptical eyebrow, not so sure about that. Ma stood back up with a DVD in her hand and a smirk on her face. I want to sit with the kids too. Surely there's room for one more, right? It might be a tight fit, but we can make it work. You could tell that Ma was teasing, and Elizabeth rolled her eyes at where this was going. She had expected an easy victory. I don't need to sit on the couch. You felt shy over being made the center of attention. Just not enough space. Shy. Social anxiety. It may have been what Elizabeth was after, but you would have preferred being left out of it. Mom came back with a big bowl of fresh popcorn, and you inhaled the smell of the hot, salted snack. What's the skinny? We all want to sit with Elizabeth and Risa, but there's not enough room on the couch. Ma took that answer in stride and pursed her lips thoughtfully. That's definitely a problem. I suppose there's only one solution. Elizabeth and Risa will have to sit on the floor in front of the couch. That's way there's spots behind them, and on the floor at their sides.
Yes.
Oh yes, that's fair. What? No, the whole point was us getting the couch to ourselves. Sorry, that's the cost of popularity. Elizabeth groaned and crossed her arms over her chest in annoyance. Fine, Risa, you're with me in front. The rest of you can fend for yourselves. There was a mad dash as Ma and Lee raced for the couch behind you and Elizabeth, and Ma put the DVD in the player before joining them. Everyone soon quieted down, and the only sounds to be heard were hands scooping up popcorn and munching it down as the movie began. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased to be part of the family you had. Aww.